Hey, good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, December 10th, and welcome to our Beef Brunch update for this week. We do not have Dr. Edwards on with us today, but we do have myself, Trip, Vince, and Lee. So just to get us started for today, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Trip for his update in the Northeast.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me again. I've got a bit of a condensed report this morning. I got a meeting I got to hustle and get to. But it's our first time back since Thanksgiving, so I'd like to say hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. Hope you got to spend a lot of good time with family and make a lot of good memories with your family. This is a great time of year to spend time together and make memories, whether that's taking kids hunting or riding through feeding cows and checking on everything with your folks. It's just a great time to be together. A lot of my favorite memories from growing up come from this season because it was cool enough to get out and do some stuff, but you weren't typically freezing to death yet. Well, speaking of Thanksgiving, I had the opportunity to get out and travel across most of the state for Thanksgiving. We went from Ruston to Jonesville to spend some time with my family, and then from Jonesville to Houma to see my wife's crew, and then we capped the weekend off with a run to Stonewall to see some more family. So all that running around kind of gave me an opportunity to see what was going on at a statewide scope, and also get to spend a lot of time in my region traveling. And one thing I noticed is we're still experiencing some of the benefits from a favorable summer this past year from a grazing standpoint. Generally, the cattle were in pretty good condition moving into the fall season, which is characterized by a shortfall of forage growth. And having animals coming in with a good BCS, they've really held up pretty well. Now, there's plenty of exceptions across the state. There's plenty of skinny cows across the state on overstocked pastures, just like there always is. But as a whole, I'm really pleased with where the cow herd statewide is. And from a condition standpoint, at this point in the fall, we've definitely seen tougher conditions for this time of year. Ryegrass is up and rocking, especially in the Northeast region. We've had several producers already been able to take advantage of the opportunity to utilize that ryegrass crop as a supplemental feed by letting animals in for just a few hours a day. Let them in, let them fill up, and then bring them out before they have time to trample or defecate or urinate or just generally ruin the forage base too much. Most of these guys were planning on prepared seed beds early this year, and a lot of them have even had opportunity to irrigate on some of that ground, which is always helpful. But even on some of the ground that was just overseeded, seeing the grass coming up and it's looking good. Thankfully, we did have a few really good frost events, a few good cold snaps there between Thanksgiving and now. And I'm really hoping that that knocked our armyworm and soybean looper pressure back. Worm pressure was terrible ahead of that cold snap, and I haven't heard anybody with any issues after that. So I'm hoping that resolved it up here now. Central Louisiana, South Louisiana might still be fighting them. I don't know what they got in the way of frost. But in our area, I think we might be finally getting ahead of them. It's been a long year fighting army worms. I'm about ready for them to go to bed for a minute on us. Um, we got a few rains, a few small rains that have kept everything going. But guys, we're a week of no rain away from being powerhouse dry over here. Growing winter annuals pulls a lot of moisture out of the ground, and we really haven't gotten any big rains. Looking at stock tanks on these places, especially over here in the hill country, stuff that normally recharges quickly, still a lot of low ponds all over the place. So we've got enough rain to stay rocking, but we really haven't gotten any excess. I've got friends that are big in the duck hunting world, and they're scrambling trying to find water to hunt on. So I mean, it's dry all over the place. So hopefully we'll continue getting those rains. Hopefully we'll get a few bigger rains to actually kind of get us ahead a little bit and at least get some of our stock tanks, farm ponds filled up. Another thing that we're running into from a climate standpoint over here is that we've had a lot of overcast days and a lot of back to back to back overcast days, which inhibits photosynthesis for the plants. We all know that plants or grasses need sunlight to survive and thrive, and these overcast days just don't get as much growth as you would if we would get some nice sunny 70-degree weather. So hopefully we'll have some sunshine and some rain in store to kind of keep things rocking with our forage base. But Other than that, things on farms over here have slowed down pretty good. Deer season has a lot of impact on what goes on farms in Northeast Louisiana. So a lot of our producers are enjoying time with family, enjoying time in the woods, and I'm very proud of them. Proud that they're getting to do that. As far as a cattle working side of things, there's a few cows getting worked here, there, and yonder, but nothing serious. Take advantage of this downtime also to be working through equipment, start getting tax documents in order. Now's just a good time to kind of catch up on some stuff that you really don't get the opportunity to the rest of the year. And make sure to spend plenty of time with your family between now and Christmas. Guys, that is about all I've got for my update.
Okay. Thanks, Trip. That was a really great update for the Northeast. I would say for our area, we have got, a decent amount of rain. I believe last Wednesday we got some pretty heavy rain over here. I believe my rain gauge was at about like 5 inches. And then just steady like Friday to Sunday. I mean, we just had steady rain and in this part of the state and this, central part of the state, south of Alexandria. Um, things are pretty, we have some pretty wet conditions going on right now. Um, with that being said, something interesting that I did notice, I had to kind of check to see if something was wrong with my email. When we have producers that do soil samples and we get the results emailed to us, I haven't had one since mid-November, I'm pretty sure. So things, just as Trip was saying, things have slowed down a little bit. I did have several people that I did hay samples for over the last month or two. So just, been working with them to get, their results and explain that to them and what those numbers mean and whatnot. And it's not too late to get those tests, get some hay tested. If y'all still would like, probably this week would be the ideal time just to make sure it can get analyzed and everything before the holidays, because the university and all of our offices will be closed from December 24th to January 1st. So we'll have a little break in there. Vince, of course, is near me as well, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for some updates as well.
Thank you, Brittany. And yeah, just to follow up what Brittany had to say, yeah, we've had significant rain events, in the last 10 to 15 days, with probably was talking to a cattle producer over the phone, just in conversation. And in a 20-mile distance, it would range from 2 to 3 inches, depending on where you were, from start of Thursday and Friday's rain event through the weekend and yesterday. Those who were able to get some top dress or some nitrogen out on their ryegrass plantings are going to definitely benefit from that. We had quite a bit of that going on in the area by air after the initial rain event. So some of the producers in our area use airplane to apply that because our ground is so flat, and it typically, unlike what Trip was alluding to, it's, our ground holds moisture and create that barrier to be able to run with tractors and equipment on the ground. So we have to utilize airplanes a lot of times to get those winter plantings fertilized. But if you don't have, half of your nitrogen for the year out on your winter planting, you should have it at this point. And most of our winter plantings are looking really good right now. Some better than others, just depending on the planting practice, if it's a prepared seed bed or not. Those who overseeded, on some hard pasture and experience all that dry condition that we had leading into mid and later into October before we started to get the rains. It's a little bit slower to come, but it's on the way. And we had some significant frost with some of these weather events that came through over the last 3 weeks or so. So our warm season grasses that had kind of perked back up in the middle part of October and into early November, that gave some supplemental grazing, has allowed some cattle to get some grazing rather than putting so much hay out. I know from my standpoint, we significantly getting in the haystack at this point of the game, and it's I've seen it where we started feeding back in October, so we're going to have what I call a considerable amount of hay left over at the end of the game if we don't have no bad weather, ice events coming our way for Central and South Louisiana. But typically across the board, it's pretty wet, and it's fall calving season is probably wrapped up, and most of our cattle guys down here are December and January calvers to reach that weaning mark that they look for come June, July, and shipping calves at that point. So it's about to really get kicked off so they call it spring calving season, but it's really a winter calving season. So those that calve in September and October, there are some cattle being worked right now as far as getting those vaccines in and getting bull calves castrated and getting those ready for that April market that Lee likes so much. So hopefully there's no issues there. And pens are a little muddy right now, but we got that front coming through tonight or today that's going to give us some sunshine and hopefully dry things out where those workings can continue. So with that being said, it's bull turnout's going to be taking place here shortly. Make sure those bulls are healthy. We talked about working calves. Make sure you got that vet-client relationship going with your local veterinarian. Consult with him on what vaccines need to be used. They know what's going on in the cow herds locally as far as vaccine protocols that need to be in place, to meet that health demand as far as the end buyer or consumer at the end of the day when you come to market. So make sure those calves are healthy and moving forward, that that you don't have any kind of repercussions or backups, or that vaccine protocols definitely help them keep them healthier through the winter period and into the spring. So make sure that you have that in place. So with that being said, and as a reminder, we talked about calving season coming along. Make sure that you have that calving toolbox ready with chains, OB chains, gloves, jack and chains, and those kind of things to assist when needed, because it always comes down to a point where no matter how good you are at selecting bulls, you're going to have some calving issues at some point in time that something's going to need assistance. So make sure that you're ready to do that. And this time of the year on, we get into December and January, February, things get pretty nasty and can be cumbersome to get some assistance out to a cow needing help with delivery. So with that being said, I'm gonna close out and let Lee take the helm.
Thank you, Vince and Brittany. Tripp gave a really good report for Northeast Louisiana. I'm glad to be with you all here today. I want to echo a lot of what has been said. They really did a great job of summing it up and giving local conditions. As far as Northwest Louisiana, folks, it's we've gotten some rain, not as much as Vince and Brittany have received, but it's pretty dry out there. And of significance is what Tripp was talking about the ponds and the stock tanks. Folks, I see them every day on people's places that I go to. We haven't run any water in creeks, in our drainage ditches. In these ponds, they're very, very low. And so while the drought is improving, according to the drought monitor, we're improving on condition wise. Folks, the conditions on the ground are still pretty dry. And that dry period actually has hurt our cool season forages quite a bit, folks, as we move into that time period and such. The rains have been beneficial of late. We were late on the plantings on these forages. We got some really good growth on some above average temperatures, but that's really it has subsided. It's been cold in Northwest Louisiana. I'm not going to say it'd be unseasonably cold. I believe it's about average for what we normally are, but it's been fairly cold. Now the weather forecast is showing some warmer days ahead, and that coupled with some rainfall will definitely help on these cool season forages. Talk to producer after producer that state they're 3 weeks a month behind on cool season forages. And some of these people that are planting wheat and oats and cereal rye, they may be getting close to grazing some right now in a normal year. Well, now they're still on hay and such. Talking about hay, just visit briefly about that. Got an abundance of hay. There was a lot of hay made in our part of the world this summer, and there was some concern actually amongst people that that sell hay about what's going to happen on the price, and are they going to get their hay sold, especially that that's stacked out of doors. Um, the ones I'm talking to right now are starting to see a lot of hay move. And God, I just got off the phone with him before we started recording this news update. He was telling me these cows are burning through hay, eating a lot of hay. So the hay's going to sell. It's good for us that's got cattle, knowing that there's a stockpile of hay if we need it. But anyway, if you hadn't fully secured enough hay for this winter, there's still available stores. Just need to reach out and try to get your hands on that. Most of the bull sales of kind of the fall and early winter bull sales that are in my part of the world have concluded for right now. Start seeing another batch of them coming up after the first of the year. Prices are good. Quality of bulls has been really good. The ones that I've seen, the sales that I've seen, and prices are creeping up on these bulls, folks. Maybe this is the wrong time of the year to preach on it, and maybe not to harp on it, but folks, that bull is so important. Your bull selection is so critical to your calf crop. And it's one of the bigger mistakes that I see a lot of producers making is they pay really close attention to their forages. They've got some really good cows out there, but they neglect their bull power, folks. And it's tough. It's tough to go to these sales, and I'm not going to pick on any one breed, but it's tough to go to these breed sales and look and see some $6,000 and $7,000 bulls sell. It's tough even on a $5,000 bull. But folks, look at the genetic input into your herd and into your calf crop that you're getting from that one animal, or the multiple animals on the bigger herds of cattle. So, folks, I can't stress it enough. If you think you need some help on bull selection, reach out to us. It's not something we do just a whole lot of, or that I do a whole lot of. Is consulting on bulls. I know that Vince and some of my colleagues down south probably do it a little bit more than I do, but if you need some help on bull selection, let us know. We'll put you on the right track, and we'll talk about some particular to be looking for and to take it case by case there. So didn't mean to get on the soapbox, but I'll get on with my normal report now. Folks, what a great time to give a market report. If you're not keeping track on what's going on in the cattle markets, and many don't. I mean, it's not an indictment on you as a cattle producer. I know a lot of cattle producers that sell cattle, once or twice a year, maybe they disconnect a little bit. Got a lot going on in life, and they don't keep track of the markets except when it's time to market their own cattle. So if you've been kind of ignoring what's happening with cattle prices, folks, pay attention. It is something to see right now on the prices on this, but particularly on the calves. So I'll jump into the market reports, and then I'll give my take on what's going on with them for what it's worth. I mean, what you get may not be much from me, but I'll give you my insights as far as that goes. So just a little asterisk before I give this market report. The data for this report is very light, folks. The Thanksgiving holiday really, cut down on the number of data points we have for this. But I wanted to report it because it's such a strong report that I may not get a chance to in the future reports, the ones such as good as this. So for the last 2 weeks, the time period, here's what the market data reports. And these are averages, of course, folks, average highs and average lows. So the average is on 500 to 600 pound steers. Average of the prices is $2.18 per pound to $3.33 per pound. I said that right. Let me reiterate that. $2.18 per pound on the low side on the 5 to 6 weight steers. On the high side, $3.33 per pound. 5 to 6 weight heifers, $2.17 to $2.82 per pound. Cull cows, 96 cents to $1.25. Cull bulls, $1.28 to $1.55 per pound. Average of the high prices paid on bred cows, $2,383 per head, and on pairs, $2,650. They're light test on light data on bred cows and pairs, folks. But anyway, so to report the changes from our last news update, On 5 to 6 weight steers, they experienced a 9.32% increase over the last 2 week period. 5 to 6 weight heifers, 8.24% increase. Cull cows there's pretty much no change on that. Cull bulls saw a 4.04% increase. So what a fantastic market we're going into, and I'm getting asked a few questions about what's going on, what's happening, and I really think it's a confluence of events, folks. We've been talking about the cattle inventory, how long, Vince, for a year and a half on these news updates. We've been talking about it a long time, and I know that Vince and I and Brittany and other folks have said it's going to bite eventually. Ashley has talked about it, that you're going to see it's going to pay. You're seeing the results of it right now, folks. There's some other events. We talk about black swan events in a negative light. There is a black swan event, I would say, that's having a positive impact on our calf prices right now, and that's a screwworm outbreak on cattle calves that originated in Mexico. And what that has done is caused the USDA to temporarily suspend live cattle imports from Mexico. And so I know what you're thinking. What does that have to do with prices of calves in Louisiana? Well, you're talking about nationally, and I'm a little fuzzy on import data, but you're talking about around 100,000 head of cattle average of calves per month that get crossed on the border from Mexico to the United States. And so you suspend that, and you're cutting out some calf supplies there. In addition, and I mean, maybe it's the wrong time of year for this, or right, depending on which side of the issue you fall. But this is the time of year that a lot of these larger ranches and farms out west are procuring cattle either for wheat. They got wheat growing, which they've received some moisture from. My friends in Texas report some moisture on their wheat up and growing good. But also, you go farther west into some of these desert type ranches that rely on winter graze due to temperatures and other factors, forage availability. This is when they procure their cattle, folks. This is when they put together big strings of cattle to turn out on desert pastures, desert ranches. And so this is throwing a monkey wrench, I'm sure, into a lot of cattle producers farther west of us. But the impact locally, the impact in Louisiana and nationwide, is driving up the price of these calves. Now, that's the good side of it. And I know, Brittany, I see it in your eyes. You're ready for me to wrap it up. I'm going to try to wrap it up real quick. That's the positive on this market. On the other side of the coin, I'm getting some kind of ancillary data, a report in particular. Had a fellow tell me that these feedlots are filling up, folks, especially on the bigger cattle. And if you look at some of these bigger markets in the last day or two, the market data on the big cattle, I'm not talking about calves, I'm talking about big cattle, 7, 8, 9 weight cattle, has been not soft, but it's not been as firm, as good, as record setting as what this calf market is. What does that mean? Maybe what I heard is true, that these feedlots are starting to fill up just a little bit on some cattle. Maybe not. You're kind of dealing with apples and oranges when you're talking about calf prices versus big yearling prices, and I'm not going to go into all those details. But I'll end with this on as far as markets go. What goes up must come down, folks. We know it. Everybody remembers 2015, don't you, Vince? Everybody remembers what it like coming down off a high. And I'm not saying we're there yet, folks. I don't know that this market has reached its fullest potential. There's a big conversation amongst people a lot smarter than I am about heifer retention, because people that are keeping heifers, that's what determines this cattle inventory. And there's a big debate nationwide on how many heifers are actually being kept. I can tell you the perspective in Northwest Louisiana, but which is there's not as many heifers being kept as what the industry would probably like. But that's what's going to drive the market going forward in the future, is these cattle inventories. If you see these Mexican cattle imports being resumed, especially after the first year, you're going to see these prices soften, in my opinion. especially after the folks that are buying wheat cattle or turnout cattle for the winter pastures, when they get their orders filled, this thing might soften up just a tad moving in January. I'm not making that a prediction because I don't give those, but that's just the way I see it. And finally, today, I promise I'm wrapping up, is I think this is our last report, isn't it, Brittany, for the year. And I want to say how much I enjoy talking to you all. I know that I know several of y'all probably listen to my portion of the report, just, kind of like a Ambien, it's kind of a non-prescription solution to sleeping problems, putting my voice on and I put folks to sleep. So I enjoy visiting with y'all. I enjoy collecting this data. And it's 2024 has been a good year, folks. I know, for me personally and for the cattle industry and the way I see it, it's been a pretty good year. I hope that 2025 is good for us. And I hope that you all enjoy holiday times and enjoy, like Tripp said, time with your family and everything like that. And I guess that wraps it up, and we will see y'all, see you in the new year. So Brittany, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Lee. That was a great update. I'm sorry if I looked kind of, I had something pop up. So, but I was listening, I swear. So just a few announcements that I just wanted to get out. So as a reminder, and I think we've talked about this before, this coming Friday is the Louisiana Forage Conference. I'm sure you'll find all of us there as well this Friday. We got they have some great topics lined up. And it's really beneficial to, anybody that, has cattle and does grazing, hay, things like that. You definitely would get something out of this. So it's not too late to get registered to attend that on Friday. I did want to announce, and I believe I said this last time as well, the Southeast region is hosting a Master Cattleman program that will begin Monday, January 20th and run to Monday, March 24th in 2025. It'll be from 6 to 9 p.m. on every Monday during that time at the St. Helena Extension Office, which is in Greensburg. The contact for that is Dr. Gary Hay, or you could contact Dr. Ashley Edwards with any questions. The registration fee is $200, and that registration is due by January 17th. And I know in some other parts of the state, we're trying to get a few planned that we're working on. Laney and Abigail, who are down in Lafayette and Vermilion parishes, I believe they're working on scheduling one. I know myself and Tyler Barlow are working on scheduling one in the Alexandria area for that, part of the state, since I did one in Opelousas earlier this year. And then I believe Tripp, I know he had one scheduled for Northeast last year or earlier this year. I keep saying last year, but I think he's working on one as well. And Lee, yes, you have your hand raised.
Northwest region will roll out details, but we're planning a Master Cattleman course for the late February, early March start date, and it'll be somewhere in Northwest region. We're trying to nail down a specific location right now, but it's going to happen. More details after the first year.
Okay. Thanks, Lee. So I know, several of us, of course, that time of the year is a good time for cattle producers and whatnot to attend that. And I know we're trying to, we try to reach as many people as we can with that program. So that's what, when Ashley was telling me earlier about the ones we have coming up, I said, man, we're all going to just kind of be scheduling these on top of each other. But we'll make it work. We really want y'all to participate in that program, as there's so much knowledge to be gained from that program. I did also, I know both Vince and Lee spoke about just how important bulls are to your operation in this time of year. Over here, Laney, Richard, and I have scheduled, we do about 2 BSEs a year. And now Tyler Barlow, who's our agent in Rapides, he has a breeding soundness exam day scheduled for Monday, March 17th at Thompson Vet Services, and that's going to be with Dr. Chris Thompson there in Alexandria on Highway 71. So Tyler Barlow is the contact for that. it's not till March, but just kind of want to put it on anybody's radar if y'all are in that central part of the state at that Alexandria area and you're looking to participate in a BSE day. So more information will come about that, but please reach out to Tyler Barlow if you would like to participate in that BSE day. Anybody else have any other announcements, or everybody's good? Okay. Well, as Lee said, this is our last update of the year. Oh, hand raised from Vince.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone, if you're listening in and your pesticide card is going to be expiring on March 31st of 2025, it's a big year for our recertification process. So please make every effort to attend meetings in your area. You can access the meeting schedule by going to LDAF's website. They're going to have a master roster for all meetings held in Louisiana. I know all of us are in the process of getting these meetings scheduled. So don't be over aggressive with us to know the dates exactly just yet, but after the turn of the calendar year, we should have a better direction on meeting dates, locations, and what have you. So just be aware of that your card is expiring March 31st.
Yes, Vince. I actually thought of that earlier and I completely kind of forgot to mention it. And we ran into this a little bit last year. First of all, just make sure to check your card, see when it's expiring, and make sure that the address on your card matches the address where you are. And if you need to update that address, please reach out to LDAF to get that address updated so you don't miss any correspondence about upcoming meetings. Several people we have emails for as well, so we'll try to reach people both by letter and by email. But beginning in January and going through March 31st, there will be several opportunities across the state to make sure y'all can attend those recertification meetings. So thank you, Vince, for that. And this was, my last one for the year. I started with you guys in January doing the beef brunch, and I've learned a lot in the process from each of you and Tripp and Ashley as well. So thank y'all, for allowing me to participate in this beef brunch series. I enjoy talking with y'all every couple of weeks and getting information out to our producers. And we hopefully soon will be working on what our scheduling will look like for next year, starting in January. But everyone have a safe and happy holidays, and we will see y'all in the new year.